Hey guys, how's it going? This is Davin with davindeedoodles, and thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to continue working on my Rake out of Mythomorphia for Kerby Rosanes' book. I know that this is something that I was really hoping to get done by Halloween for you guys, but between my vacation and my hurricane hiatus, it just didn't happen. So maybe we'll make up for it today. Maybe I'll give you the spooky stories now. Who knows what I'll do? But whatever you want to do, feel free to settle in and join me. It's going to be a long one since I'm working with colored pencils. That means you're going to need a snack. You're going to want a drink of choice, which is either going to be tea or coffee. And you're going to want to grab your craft. So with that said, you have been warned. Please feel free to join me and hang out for a while and listen to my stories. And let's get started. Alright, so I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see what's going on. Basically what I did off screen, I didn't want to bore you guys because it wasn't going to show up on camera. I went ahead and I laid down some white colored pencil on the tree itself, just because I'm hoping that with as dark as my purple pencil is, it keeps it lighter with a white base. So I went ahead and did that, and why I chose to do that, sorry I had to zoom you in here, is because I wanted to kind of stand apart from the skeletons. From when I did the last video, I actually had to go in and do the skeletons again with the same colors and the same, techniques or whatever, because they were so light and just washed out that they didn't even really pop off the page. I'm much happier with them now. They actually look like skulls and skeleton bones and stuff like that. And I'm hoping to be able to go in and just add more and more colors and more layers, and you guys are gonna have to suffer through that with me. So that being said, we're going to be working on the rest of the tree at the moment. I want to kind of try and do it all at one time, and we'll go from there. And as far as the rest of what's going on down here, I have an idea, but I'm not sure yet. I think I'll just work on the tree and maybe painting a black background, because at least if it's black matte paint, I'll be able to go over and add color pencil on top without too much trouble. So yeah, that's my plan for today. It's not going to be a whole lot, but you guys know it takes me forever to do anything anyway. So funny enough, I did have another color and chat filmed, and it was actually it was a couple of days ago that I did it, but it was a smaller picture. It was from Nice Little Town 6, because that's my go-to when I'm stressed out and just not having a very good time or a good day. And I was doing a picture in there, but I wasn't feeling very well emotionally, and I felt that really came through on the film. And I didn't want to bring anybody down or anything like that, so I decided to do this instead and go back to what I promised I would do, which is basically bring you a very late Halloween picture. So I'm sorry in advance, that was not my intention. I really thought that I would have time to work on this on vacation, and then there was, moments that I figured even if it wasn't on vacation, I would have time when I got back. Well, basically right when I got back, Hurricane Zeta decided to directly hit New Orleans. And when I say directly hit us, the eye was over our apartment complex. There was a moment that I actually have pictures. I might actually put them in the video, maybe like here somewhere, here, wherever. It'll probably be somewhere that I took pictures in the middle of the storm. The sky kind of opened up. It got a little pink because it was like it hit right at dusk. Yeah, it's dusk, and it was getting dark outside, so there was pink from the sunset from wherever behind the clouds it was. And there was a little bit of blue sky, and it was crazy. But I'll talk to you guys about the hurricane in a little bit. But that is why I was not able to get this out to you on time. We lost power for about 3 days. And we're pretty fortunate because there were some people that apparently didn't even get their power back until like yesterday. And there's still people, I think, that don't actually have power. So we were very, very lucky to get back on the grid as quickly as we were. So that said, I do want to kind of talk about, you know, some vacation stories and things like that before I get too terribly distracted. And I apologize because I know you probably can't see a whole lot. It doesn't look much different from where I'm coloring to where the white is. But it'll get there. And that's what we're doing. We're just kind of spending time and working on it together. So, yeah, that was my October, basically. And I do just want to take a minute to thank everybody for, you know, checking out the video and for watching my channel, subscribing and all that good stuff. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and do so because I want to bring more fun content for you. And the more input I have, the more people, you know, that are around, the more likely I am to do it. So, yeah, just let me know. Let me know what's on your mind, and I hope everybody's okay and not too stressed out about politics, but we're not going to go into that. I do not want to open that door, but I hope everybody's okay. I hope you are able to relax a little bit and just take care of yourself because that's also important, is self-care. So that said, before I go into my vacation stories, what are you guys doing as you watch along? Are you coloring your own picture? Are you coloring the same picture? Are you diamond painting or, I don't know, jigsaw puzzles or whatever you want to do? Are you sketching? Like, are you an artist? I would love to know if you're an artist. What book are you working out of if you are coloring? What is your favorite book? What is your favorite Kerby Rosanes book? So, you know, think about all these and definitely give me some answers by the end. You have plenty of time, I assure you. So, I will go ahead and I will start off talking a little bit about vacation. I spent some time, I'm actually from North Florida, like Northeast Florida. And every year we like to try to go to the beach. And what we do is we rent a condo. It's like a little triplex. It's on the beach, like directly on the beach. You can literally open the back door and then walk down this tiny boardwalk and you're in the sand. So we try to rent a small condo right next to my mom and my stepdad. And we just kind of have fun and we do, you know, our own things sometimes. Sometimes Anthony and I will go into town if it's not, you know, COVID. And sometimes, you know, me and my stepdad will fish and we just have dinners and stuff like that and do fun things. So we decided we were going to take the chance and do that again this year. And we actually go to a place called St. Augustine. Many people, especially if you're from Florida, already know where that is, but it's the nation's oldest city and it's very touristy now. It's doing extremely well, but, you know, unfortunately when areas do well because they get tourists, they get, you know, kind of cringe, but it's still doing well and it still has like fun things like the castle and like the old fort and things like that. That's all still there and it was actually reopening when we were there. We didn't go because, like I said, we didn't go into town because of COVID. But, you know, that stuff is there to check out and it's a lot of fun. And there's always the beach. Just don't go to the beach on a weekend because, dear God, you're going to be like competing with everybody else for space. But what we do is, like I said, we rented the condo and we went a week early. So we took 2 weeks and Anthony and I decided we were going to stay with my parents at their house for a few days and then we were going to try camping for a few days. We bought a new car. I don't remember if I told you guys about that. I probably did. We ended up buying a Subaru Forester to replace the much, much older and kind of unsafe car that was giving me problems during one of my other coloring chats. So we were really wanting to see how it would handle like camping. And we just went to Anastasia State Park. It's a very nice park, by the way. If you're ever in Northeast Florida and you want to go to the beach, they have camping there. And there are some sites that are RV sites, there are some sites that are tent sites, but I believe all of them have water and electricity hookups. Like there was someone there that was staying in a tent, but they had like Christmas trees up all around their Christmas trees, Christmas lights up all around their site. And they even had like Christmas lights on their tent. And like a lot of people had like lights up, and it was real, you know, just fun. And they have showers, and they have like I think they even have a laundry area. Yeah, they do have a laundry area. They have like coin laundry. They have the power hookups, and it was just a really nice. Oh, they have bathrooms. That's what I was thinking of. They actually have like bathrooms with showers, and basically you're all set up even if you're in a tent. So I highly recommend you guys check it out. The beaches, they're beautiful. They're pretty much white sand, and you know, everybody there is pretty nice. You may end up with like a partier or something next to you if you're not careful, but I mean, that's probably going to be more in the summertime and not during October. So we decided to give that a try though. We had a tent that we had from previous trips, which I've discussed already on the channel. And we, you know, just took the car, we filled it up with a cooler, we got a bunch of, we got a bunch of food. Basically bought a bunch of blankets with us and made camp. And we spent like the days at the beach. We had a lot of fun kind of walking around the little walking trail they had, which was pretty cool because it was basically, the walking trail was, you're walking on an ancient sand dune that's basically like forest now, which is really neat. You just have to be careful because there is wildlife there. So when I say wildlife, I mean things like snakes and raccoons that are not afraid of you, and just things like that. It was really cool though, and I had a really good time. The campsites were pretty spaced out, so it was like kind of a circle, like a loop, and there was lots of trees and stuff in between the sites. But I remember the first night I woke up, one, it was pretty warm, and I don't sleep well if it's warm outside. But two, there was this little girl on one of the campsites I couldn't see, and she woke up crying, and I'm like, oh, you know, the poor thing, she's probably scared or something. She's, you know, she's wanting her, it sounded like she wanted her toy. And it was like, oh, you know, poor little girl and all that. And then, you know, it kind of got a little old and I was getting really tired, and I'm going, go to bed, go inside your little RV because I don't want to hear it anymore. I understand you're scared, but go away. So I felt a little bad about that. But they actually left the next day, and after her, Anthony and I were hanging out at the campsite, and we were just, I can't even remember what we were really doing. We were walking to the bathrooms. Because it was like nighttime, and I am one of those people that has to wake up like 10 times to use the bathroom at night. And he didn't want me to have to go by myself, because, you know, you don't know creepy people might be doing and like lurking around, that sort of stuff. So we were gonna go together before it got too dark and before we actually went to bed. And there was this lady that pulled in, and she had, I don't know how old this kid was, okay? He was little. She had one son that was probably, I would say, in the 10 range. And she had this other little boy. He was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 tops. And he had the biggest set of blonde curls I've ever seen on a child. And we're just walking and minding our business, and the lady greets us, and, you know, we say hi. And we ask how she's doing, and she said to check back in an hour because she's like stressed out trying to set up her tent and all that stuff. And I look over, and this little bitty baby boy basically is like running up to us at the very edge of his camp, and he's like, I'm camping. Oh, that's sweet, that's cute, you know, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, you know, that's great. We're camping too. And he just kept saying it. He just kept going, we're camping, we're camping. And I'm like, am I supposed to say something else? Is he like a broken record? But he was so cute, like I didn't care. He was harmless and you know, he actually didn't have any issues, whereas the little girl was real scared at night. There was something going on, like an animal fight of some kind in the woods, but like he didn't even wake up. I didn't hear him talking. I didn't hear him like disturbed in the least. And I mean, maybe it's just a boy thing, like he wasn't scared or he didn't hear it. Maybe he just sleeps that hard. I don't know. But there were some noises that woke me up that night and freaked me out. And for him to not even like start asking his mom questions like, what is that? This little dude was like trying to run off the raccoons. And I'm thinking, dude, you're gonna get bitten by a freaking raccoon. Stop it. They are not scared of you, little man. But I mean, you know, whatever. He was having a good time and more power to him. So I think what I'm trying to do is just kind of create some contrast. I want it to be a little bit gray, but I definitely want it to be more of like a purpley gray. So that's why I'm kind of going over it with like a light gray. So I started with white and I tried to knock out the darkness of the purple. And now I'm going over it with like a gray and I'm going to add more purple and I'm going to go over it again with like a darker gray. Because what I'm thinking is like in between I'm going to put orange and black. Kind of like embers underneath the tree. This is going to turn out to be like the weirdest picture ever. That's all I gotta say. But we had a really good time camping and we're actually going to try and go again here in Louisiana. We're going to go to a state park in basically right outside of New Orleans sometime in November, and I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully there's no freaking hurricanes. But it was a lot of fun. I did enjoy myself quite a bit, and that's coming from a girl that doesn't normally like to camp. But I slept pretty good and everything. Like, I didn't freak out, and I was proud of myself. So, we also spent a lot of time at the beach. I mean, a lot of time at the beach. I was tan, and I don't usually tan. I usually just burn. But I always made sure to have, like, plenty of sunscreen. But I was, having a good time. We did a lot of shark tooth hunting, and we went to a very popular place to find them. And of course, everybody else and their mom was literally at this beach looking for shark's teeth. But I managed to find like 20 in one day. And when I say shark's teeth, I mean just like the little bitty baby ones. I don't mean like anything significant. But it was so much fun to do, and I miss doing that, you know. I miss being near a beach where I'm able to do that. So that's like the one bad thing about camping in Louisiana is I'm not going to be able to find shark's teeth, but that's okay. Right now I'm just trying to kind of keep chill and do whatever I'm doing. So after we went camping, we got to catch up with an old neighbor that I have known for like all my life. He is probably the sweetest man there ever was. At least neighbor, you know, he's a really sweet dude. And he's doing really well. And so is his family, and that was really exciting to find out. So Mr. Dennis, if you're by chance watching this, or Miss Carter, if you're watching this, I'm glad you guys are doing well. It was nice to see you. I also got to catch up with one of my friends. She's also doing very well, and you know, I didn't think I would be able to because of COVID and all that, but she came out to lunch with Anthony and I, and we were, you know, smart. We wore masks and all that, and we behaved ourselves. So, trying to keep in mind that COVID is still unfortunately a thing. But that being said, I went to the shell shop while we were in St. Augustine, masked up of course, and I was able to get some souvenirs. I got some from a friend, and then I got Because every year what I do is I buy a megalodon tooth, because I'm a little bit of a fossil collector, especially with shark's teeth. So I was able to get my megalodon tooth, and I actually was able to get a great white tooth, which they said they usually, like, they're not getting any more in. You are not allowed to really sell great white teeth because obviously they're endangered. And there's the question of, like, well, where did you get it? How did you get a great white's tooth? Like, I understand. That makes sense to me. You're not going to want to have people freaking hunting great whites that are endangered so they can get their teeth and then turn around and sell them in some touristy little shop. But these people already had the teeth, so they were able to sell them. And I had to jump at that opportunity. I'm like, yep, these are mine now. Thank you. So now I have something that I think I only had like one of from my dad's collection. So that was pretty exciting. I was also able to bring home my dad's own sketchbooks. I always knew he was like a bit of an artist. And my mom likes to compare my stuff to his. But I didn't bring them home with me after he had passed because I was so, you guys can't even see, I'm sorry. Because I was so busy doing like other stuff and bringing bigger things home. But I got to bring them home this time, and one of these days I'll flip through them and maybe share some of the pictures with you. It's definitely kind of like a look into somebody that you know is like one thing, like you know your dad to a point, but like you don't know all of them. And there's something really intimate about looking into sketchbooks because it kind of gives you a more glimpse of them as a person, not so much as like your dad. So it was pretty cool. And I also got to bring home a shelf that he built himself. So I was pretty excited for that. It's now holding some of my art supplies. I feel that's very fitting. So, we went after I hung out with like my neighbor and my friend. We decided we were going to take the actual trip to St. Augustine at the condo to spend a full week at the beach. And that was so much fun. Like, words cannot express how fun that was. Just being at the beach alone was a lot of fun, you know what I mean? And then having that time with family that I hadn't seen in a year was really nice. And I got to spend like quality time with my stepdad fishing, and that's something that, you know, it's gonna stick with me and I really do enjoy. And I mean, I don't think they watch these longer videos, but I know my mom and my stepdad do watch some of my videos. But it's like, that is something that I really, really love doing, is going fishing with him. So that meant a lot to me that he was able to do that, and he was willing to do that, because I know he was pretty tired. My mom and stepdad ended up kind of like dog sitting. The owner, they're friends with like the owner of the house. So they ended up dog sitting for her while they were there, and it was chaos because they had a new puppy that, like, my mom and stepdad have a new German Shepherd puppy that didn't like where she was and barked all night, and then they had this other dog and another dog, and it's like I know they were tired, but he still made time to come hang out with me on the beach, and so it was really kind of sad. I'm in like such bad physical shape and I don't know what's going on. Like, okay, I've always had shoulder issues, right? But it's been my right shoulder that's, well, was it my right shoulder? No, you know what? It has always been my left shoulder that's given me problems. I'm being dumb. It has always been my left shoulder that's, like, I had to go to physical therapy. There's a calcium shard in my shoulder on my left side. Excuse me. I had to take a drink. And I actually went to the ER for it when I was, man, this was years ago, like probably 6 or 7 years ago. The pain was so bad that I went to the ER for it. When, of course, when you go to the ER for pain, they just think you're making it up. Because I asked them, I'm like, you have to give me something. I cannot exist without something to handle this pain. So of course they thought I was drug seeking, and I get that. Like it's a time I didn't really understand, and it made me feel really bad that they just treated me like I was, you know, lying. But like now I do understand to a point. But they did an x-ray and they actually found that I have a calcium shard in my shoulder. And they told me then and there that I needed to get a doctor because I was going to have surgery to have it taken out. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. No. So I've been living with it, and every so often it flares up real bad, probably because I lay on it or I do something or, something like that. And it's been bothering me a lot, actually. And it started real bad before I went on vacation. Gotta sharpen this. It started hurting me real bad before I was on vacation. And I told my mom, it's like, I don't know that I'm going to be able to fish because my arm hurts so bad. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to literally cast the line, okay? And she said that she talked to my stepdad and he said that he would cast for me. Like, if I just wanted to stand out there and hold the pole, he would do that. And, that poor man, he did. He offered and he did cast it for me. And Anthony, actually, my husband, who doesn't like fishing, cast it for me a couple times. But the issue came to be when I started having trouble with trigger finger. And that started on my camping trip, like right before we went to the condo. And for those of you guys that don't know what trigger finger is, you're going to see a real close-up of my hand. Basically, it's this finger here that has the issue. And I sleep with my hands curled real tight and usually curled into my chest. And a lot of the time I lay on them. And what was happening was in the mornings, I couldn't uncurl my hand. This is probably the biggest range of motion I could get. If I put something in my hand, it hurt. If I tried to force it, it really hurt. So I spent like the first couple hours of the day just doing this, trying to get my hands to open, and then I could only get it to about here. And what happens with trigger finger is if you try to force it to extend, it will, but it's like something like a ligament or tendon like pops when you do that. It literally pops, and it's painful and it hurts. And so basically what ended up happening was my stubborn self decided I wanted to cast my own line because I felt guilty having everybody else do it for me. And I wanted to do it myself. And, I was going to do it. So I would cast my line with my right hand and hold the pole with my right hand. And it was actually holding the pole that was more painful to me than casting. And it was getting bad. It was getting worse and worse. And I would put my hands around a coffee cup in the morning, like, I'm gonna zoom you out for a second. Like, I would put my hands around my coffee cup, hoping that it would, like, the warmth would help. And then when it didn't, I would put it over the top of the coffee cup, hoping that forcing it to open and flex like that would be enough to basically, kind of work it out. And it just made it worse. Like, it was so painful. I'm gonna zoom you back in so you can see what I'm doing. So yeah, it was really not a good combination. And it was only after looking into it later that I realized, people have this issue and some of them have to get like shots and like surgeries and stuff like that. And I'm going, I do not want to deal with that. What do I do? How do I make it better? And the first thing it said was rest. Do not use that hand. Do not use those fingers. Oh, well, I had just been using it a whole lot. So my fingers were very upset with me. And luckily right now it's a little bit better, but it's starting to come back already. I can feel it. So, I mean, that's everybody's, medical rant for the day. But I was able to fish, and I actually caught a lot of fish. There was one day that I caught like 5 in a row. So for someone like me, I don't cast very deep at all. I'm just not that good at it. And so I cast maybe 10, 15 feet in the waves. And I mean, that's being generous. But you don't have to cast that deep to get fish. And that kind of proved it, because I was catching, like, I must have been hitting a school of fish, because I was catching them left and right. And then I really needed my stepdad's help, because one, Anthony didn't want to touch a fish. And two, I didn't have the dexterity in my hands to take a squirming fish off the hook and let it go. So he did have to help me at that point, and it had gotten so bad at the end that, like, I had to have him and Anthony cast for me. I couldn't do it anymore, and then eventually I just gave up entirely. Like, I could not hold the pole. And I didn't want to tell anybody that at the time. I didn't want anybody to worry or be like, oh, you know, there's pole holders and stuff like that. It's like, I literally could not hold the pole to even reel a fish in. It had gotten so bad. So I was just like, okay, I'm done. We'll just go relax and have fun and enjoy each other's company. But the day that I actually ended up quitting, because it did hurt that bad, is the day that there was a shark. Now, my stepdad is a jokester, okay? Like, he pranks people and, you know, it's harmless stuff, usually. Sometimes, you know, accidents happen or whatever, but he knows how scared I am of the ocean, and I don't think he would ever, like, mess with me this way. So I don't know why I thought he was kind of messing with me, but we're getting our fishing stuff together. It's early morning, and I have, you know, the shrimp on the hook, and I'm walking out because I'm gonna go cast my line. And I don't go deep at all to cast, okay? Like, I do not want to spend any more time in the water than there needs to be. I know it's in the water. I know very well how shallow, you know, these creatures can be. I do not want to entice them with food or anything else. I'm just going to get my feet wet, cast my line, and then walk back to dry shore. And that's literally what I do. So I'm getting my stuff ready, and my stepdad points and he's like, oh, look, a shark. And he says it kind of like that too. He's like, oh, look, a shark, you know? And I'm like, haha, you know, very funny. You're being a jerk, you know. But my instinct is to kind of like whip around, what? And, you know, he's like, there was a shark. But he said it so serious. And I'm like, no, he's messing with me. He knows I'm scared of sharks, and he knows, you know, it's going to get a rise out of me. And then I'm going to be scared to go any further. Like, this is just him being him. And I ignore him, and I start kind of like edging towards the water, but at this point I'm afraid, so I'm like kind of creeping towards the water, and I'm like, where's the shark? What are you talking about? And, you know, he said there was a shark. It was right there. And he's pointing to very, very shallow water. And I'm thinking to myself, no, he's messing with me. So I ignore it and I start to walk back out towards the water so I can go cast my line. And not even 2 seconds later, he points again and he's like, look, 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 there it is. And I look over. And I'm prepared to like start yelling at him and like carrying on because he's being mean. And I see, okay, you know when you're at the beach and you're standing in like ankle deep water and there's a little white foam that collects on your feet, at the tops of your feet, because that's how shallow you are? There was at least a 2-foot shark chasing minnows in that water. And I about crapped my pants. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not going to try and like save face. I nearly crapped my pants. But I was like, oh, you know what? I really want to fish. It's not gonna bother me. It's just chasing minnows. It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. So I talk myself up and I go and I cast my line. And the next thought I have is, the water's a little rough today. I can't cast to save my life. This is going to carry my, like the rough water is going to carry my hook and my bait even more shallow. I'm going to end up catching this stupid thing, and I'm not going to have any idea what to do because I'm not putting my hands near its mouth. And then it was like a whole other barrage of like, oh my god, what am I going to do? And it's like, well, my stepdad's there. He's caught sharks before. He knows what to do. But I was like freaking out a little bit, and I kept watch, and this thing kept coming back. Like, I knew sharks could come in shallow water. Like, I knew they did. And I knew it was because they run after bait fish and all that stuff. Like, I get that. I know it's not after me or anything. But it's like this thing is like in such shallow water. How? Like, and it kept coming back. And I was like not amused because I kept thinking it was going to mistake me for something and then bite my ankles and... Ugh. I mean, it was kind of cool to see when I wasn't in the water and it didn't take my bait, but then I got concerned because in the house next to us, they also do vacation rentals. And there was this, I don't know, I would say he was like 11 or 12-year-old boy and his mom and his little sister. And I felt so bad for this kid, like this little boy, because he was like always trying to get her attention, like the mom's attention. He was kind of trying to get her to do stuff with him, and like he would go out in pretty deep water just to play in the waves, and like his mom would just leave him by himself on the beach. And it's like, as rough as this water is, I would not ever, ever, ever leave my child. Which I understand, I am not a parent. I cannot, I'm not trying to pass judgment, I guess, but this kid could easily drown. The rip current was so bad while we were there. This kid could easily get pulled out, and she wouldn't have even known because she was inside with the little girl. And so this kid comes out, and he's looking at the water. He wants to go play in the water, but I'm standing real close to him because, our places are next to each other, and I've got a pole in the water, and he's kind of looking at me, and, I wave over to him, and I start pulling in my line so he knows he can go in, and he'll be okay. But then I started thinking about, there's this shark that's been popping up a lot. I hadn't seen it in a while, but it's like maybe I should still go say something and tell him maybe he should wait a little bit. Because I don't want to be the reason this kid gets bitten by a damn shark. Like, luckily he didn't go in the water. He actually went back inside and I guess went to go have breakfast or something. I don't know. I don't know what he was doing, but I felt really bad and just really relieved at the same time that he didn't come into the water then and there, because I was really afraid that he would have been bitten. And that was like, I didn't want to live with that guilt of being the reason this poor kid got bit. But I mean, that being said, there was more people. Like, it just kind of astounds me how, like, some people don't think about that stuff. There was a girl. First off, I'm sorry, I gotta say this. If you go to the beach and you want to go swimming, that's fine. I do not want to go swimming ever because I know it's in the water. And, yeah, they don't usually like to go after people, blah, 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 it's a mistake. But you know what, knowing my luck, I would be bitten. So I'm not going in the water to go swimming. I'm not going in the water to get pulled out into a rip current. I'm just going to stay my happy self on land. And there was this... Well, no. Let me just say first, if you go to the beach, please do not set up on top of a fisherman if you are going to go swimming. And there's a couple reasons for this. One, it is incredibly rude. I go fishing because I don't want to be bothered. So you deciding you're going to go swimming right on top of me irritates the crap out of me. Two, you have to think about what's in the water where fishermen are actually fishing. They have bait on those hooks. They have shrimp on those hooks. Sharks will eat shrimp. Okay? Not only that, but there are fish in the area more than likely. And when fish are caught on a fishing pole, sometimes they bleed. So you have likely bloody fish in the area. And we all know what is attracted by blood. So, that also being said, do you have any idea how stressful it is for someone like me that can't cast more than like 10 feet when you come swimming in front of me and I know there's a hook bobbing around like right in front of you. Like, you're gonna step on a fishing hook, and those things are sharp, and those things are usually barbed, and you're not gonna be able to get it out of your foot, and I'm not taking you to the hospital. Just putting that out there. So just keep that in mind. Because these two girls that I'm discussing eventually didn't. And nothing happened, nothing bad happened, but I'm just kind of, the lack of consideration, I guess, and the lack of awareness some people have is kind of shocking. Like, the girls that I'm discussing and talking about here, they had two little kids, and I mean little kids, babies, basically. They couldn't even get up on their own. They could barely sit on their own. And the moms were just having a good old time thrashing around in the waves, and their babies were sitting real close to shore. Well, one was thrashing around in the waves. I think the other one was on shore, but she was doing something else with her phone. And the babies are sitting in the waves where it's really, really, really shallow, but the tide was coming in. So I'm fishing, and I happen to look over just in time to see this poor kid, no, both of these poor kids, being hit by a wave, literally sitting, toppling over, and not able to sit themselves back up. And I'm going, you're gonna kill your freaking kids. You are going to drown your children. Go get your kids, stop playing with your phone, stop playing in the waves, go get the babies. I didn't say it. It wasn't my place to say it, but I did watch. I will admit I did watch because I was scared for them. I thought they were honestly going to drown. And I was going to go do something if needed. Like, I was gonna go, get them. And then maybe have words if I had to go intervene. But like, I was so scared that those poor kids were just gonna, the lack of awareness some people have scares me. But that's my PSA, I guess. I'm not trying to lecture people or say that I'm like, super, aware and awesome and all that. I'm just trying to say, please, if you go to the beach, keep track of your kids. That just makes me so nervous, because if I were to turn on the news and see that, like, that little boy had been pulled out to sea, or if I looked on the news and saw, like, something had happened to those babies, I would never forgive myself. And, it's all preventable. I guess that's what gets me. So, just please be aware. I don't want the guilt. I don't want the guilt of knowing that, like, some people are just that thoughtless. But, so yeah, that was my trip. I had a really good time, and I wish I could go back because I'm not enjoying Louisiana very much, because right when I came back to Louisiana, we had a hurricane. That still irritates me. I'm trying to decide if I should do more gray or if I should just do purple. I kind of like the purple, because I want the gray to stand out. But I'll do like dark gray in some places. So yeah, we came home from vacation, and literally the day that we came home, we turned on the news and Hurricane Zeta was headed this way. And at first I just kind of like laughed it off, because all hurricanes initially head this way. If it comes into the Gulf, it's almost always projected at some point to hit Louisiana, It's just kind of how it is. And you just kind of shrug it off. Like, if it hits, it hits. It's probably not going to. It's going to probably turn like all the other ones have turned this year. This one didn't turn. No, this one decided it was going to hit us straight on. And in doing that, it knocked out power for 3 days, and actually longer for that than for a lot of people. Our apartment building made us throw out all of our food in the fridge, or they were going to charge us for a new one. And the sewer backed up, and it was like a hot mess. That's all I gotta say. It was a hot mess. But that's why I wasn't able to get you guys your Halloween stuff early, or on time even. I don't know what I'm saying early for. So that actually did disappoint me. I really wish I had been able to get it for you, but we're doing it now, and I think we're having a good time. The storm itself actually wasn't too terrible. Anthony and I stood outside for most of it. We have a stoop cat named Moo that I honestly love to death. And I was real worried about him not having a place to go because we couldn't bring him inside, but if it was that bad, I would have brought him in, you know. And we were watching the storm and we stood outside because the way the wind was blowing, it was actually blowing from behind our building to the front of our building. So like everything was going over us and not really at us. So even if we weren't even getting much rain, you know, it was pretty safe, surprisingly, right? And we just had some, there were a lot of gusts, and there was a lot of there were actually some damage to the buildings across from us because the wind was hitting them directly and like casting a lot of debris their way. Someone had like the gutters ripped off their building. The rain wasn't flooding us, but it was coming in so hard that it basically went under their doors and into their apartment, which, you know, obviously that's not good. But for the most part, we were okay. We did have some down trees. There were some down power lines throughout the city, things like that. But all things considered, we were really lucky, especially because after the storm hit, it was really cold. Like a cold front had come in or something. So instead of it hitting like in the middle of August when it would be unbearable to have no heat, it was just kind of relaxed and not the worst thing ever. So yeah, that was actually fairly nice. It made it very much bearable. And what kind of weird was that like the storm itself didn't have much rain. It was more of like a wind event. And when it actually started, there was a lot of rain coming over the top of the building. There was a lot of rain, kind of like in the most intense moments you couldn't really see across the parking lot. But what got really crazy was that after the eye had passed and the wind shifted, it was just wind. Like there really wasn't any more like rain. It was just wind, and there was a lot of weird looking lightning. And when I say weird looking lightning, I mean like it was literally just lightning that lit up the entire sky. And you know, that's not the most uncommon, but I've never seen bright blue lightning. I've never seen bright blue lightning like that lighting up the entire sky. And my first thought was it was like a power transformer. But by then, all the power had already gone down, and Anthony was like, you know, it wouldn't make sense for a power transformer to do that if it had no power going to it. So I don't know what it was. And I've never seen red lightning like that either. That was probably the craziest. It was just so intense. And like, I mean dark red, and it was everywhere. It was bizarre in like a cool way. I wanted to see more of it. I was kind of disappointed I didn't get to, but yeah, you guys can kind of see. I'm not sure if I like the gray. Too late now. So, I mean, it was definitely interesting, and we were very fortunate, like I keep saying, that it wasn't one of these other storms. It wasn't a Cat 4. Though now there's another one out there, what do they call it, Zeta or something, that's like done a U-turn already after hitting South America. And they're saying that this one might come up and, you know, turn again and hit the Gulf and like head somewhere in the Gulf. And I'm going, if this one honestly comes into the Gulf and develops into another storm, I'm leaving. This storm will have made 2 U-turns and it's got an agenda. I'm out. So we'll see what this one does. I'm hoping it just kind of fizzles out and doesn't do anything though. Because I don't know that I can handle much more. I am like so over everything. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Hopefully it'll be okay, and I'm sure it will be. It always is, but we'll find out. So that said, have you guys had any crazy weather near you? Are you enduring the madness? Or is it just us that's getting picked on right now? I almost joke, and like, I'm not trying to say this as like a religious kind of thing, but like, I joked that, you know, God is playing putt-putt or something, and he's just trying to get it right and hit New Orleans. Because he keeps, like, sending storms in here towards us. It's like, are we, like, the hole that is being aimed at? And, like, he finally got a hole in one, and now we got more issues coming, or what? But, I don't know. I'm just kind of having fun with the whole situation. I'm trying to not stress out over small things and just kind of control what I can and not, you know, lose my mind every 2 seconds. It's hard to do, but, you know, you have to sometimes. I've also, my schedule has started like filling up again suddenly. It looks so much nicer on camera. I'm not really crazy about how it's turning out in person. So yeah, my schedule is starting to like fill up a little bit. I don't like it. I had to make an appointment with a dentist because my teeth are hurting me. Like, it's bad. I know that I have some cavities I need to have taken out or like filled or whatever. I had braces as a kid too, and like they put that cement stuff on your teeth and like kind of have I guess it's a retainer of some kind that they leave in, and that's started bothering me. Like, I mess with that a lot with my tongue though, and I know I shouldn't, but it's hard not to when you feel something there. Like, you mess with it. It's just what you do. And so I have a dental appointment on Monday. I almost want to tell them not even to bother with the cleaning, because just like, fill my cavities please. It's hard to talk because like the vibrations from my own voice sometimes are just too much. It's like, goodness. So I'm finally getting that looked at. I've got a couple of appointments for my babies and my vet, which I had to actually, I'm going to be switching vets because I'm very unhappy with one of them right now. They were bought out by like one of those umbrella corporations, like VCA or something. So they used to be good when we first had them. And now it's like, I disagree very much with some of the things they're trying to do with one of my animals, like for their treatment. And I'm not happy, and I found a vet that I hope is willing to help me on Tuesday. So, got some stuff going on with that, and on top of all of it, I've made the decision that I'm going to start working again, actually at the same company that I was at before. I'm kind of nervous to do it. It wasn't the most exciting job in the world, but, you know, it's going to be working with some good people, and they're giving me another opportunity, and it would be nice to kind of like make my own money again and start paying down my student loans that have gotten a little atrocious. And I don't say that like lightly. I mean, I don't know. The student loans are primarily the reason that I am going back, but it's also like, I have been making payments on them. They just don't seem like they're going anywhere. And I really want to make an effort to try and help Anthony achieve his like retirement dream and retirement goal of you know, not having to work after the Coast Guard and after his time in the military. So it's like, if I can get a job, even if it's just to pay all my student loans, they should be gone by the time he retires. Like, all things, like, here's hoping they're gone by the time he retires, and we can kind of, like, just relax and do what we've been planning on doing much, much more comfortably than if we had to carry my stupid loans. So I decided that I'm gonna go back to that for a little bit, and hopefully it works out. I think it will. I think I can manage for a few years. I'm in a much better place to do so. So I'm hoping that it all goes well. I had my interview with them this morning, actually. So they seem pretty excited to, you know, be talking with me, and I'm hoping that they're gonna invite me back on. And it'll be remote work for now, which I think will be a lot easier on me. I really like the idea of remote options for work. And I really wish they would just commit to it like full time anyway. Because it's kind of like, with the way things are right now, yeah, of course they're remote, but it would be nice that if I was able to, or chose to, that I would be able to take this job with me when we get transferred somewhere else. And you know, there's no reason with remote work that you can't do that, but we'll see. So that's kind of what's going on in my life right now. And it's a little crazy. See, this is like why it takes me so long with color pencils, because I put so many layers down. Like, I was planning on doing the whole tree today, and I was going to color in the background, and it's like, I got the roots, some of the roots done, and you could see how much of a difference it actually makes. So I think I've been talking for about an hour, and I might actually leave you guys with this and just caught you guys up and had some fun talking, so I'm going to back you out. Yeah, so you can definitely tell the difference where I've been finishing and where it's still a definite work in progress. So I think what I'll do is I'll continue working on this on my own, and I'll probably make a separate video where I actually paint the background. Maybe that'll be a shorter one for you guys, just a quick, you know, update on how things are going, and we'll keep making progress. What I do want to know, would you guys be okay if I actually did another picture here and there between this one, or should I just work on this one first and then switch them out? So let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to see. I'm also more than willing to share my spooky stories still if you're interested, since we are working on a spooky picture. Let me know if you want to hear those, because I love telling ghost stories. I hear that I'm pretty good at it too. But these are real ghost stories, so let me know what you think. Thank you so much for joining me. It's really been a pleasure. I've missed you guys so much. And if you don't mind, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, because I will definitely be working on this more with you, and I will be sure to bring you something next week, maybe even an art video in between. We will see. So thank you guys so much. You guys have a good week and be safe.